Well, this is my 1928 Dodge project car. Wanted to have something that's usable as a daily driver and at the same time, interesting. So this is what I came up with. My other projects taking a long time, so I wanted something that's a little bit less of a project and something that's actually achievable that I can use. And bought this car back in June, and didn't work on it for a couple months until September, and then I finally got time to even get it off the trailer in the first place, and worked on it for a little bit, and then got into other things. The next thing I know, it's December, so I thought, I should kick into high gear and see if I can get this thing to pull out of the driveway on its own power by the end of the year. So I just got back from my drive, and it works. So this is it. I cobbled everything together a little bit just to be able to drive it right now, but it does work, and seems like it runs pretty well. This is a Isuzu 4-cylinder 2.3 liter diesel engine. You can see this car probably originally had a 6-cylinder engine, since there's about 14 inches of clear space between the engine and the radiator. So I converted it, to be really like something that's practical as a daily driver. Somebody already started this project and put like a solid front axle under it with leaf springs. It's a later model, like Chevy axle with it's got a disc brake conversion. Let me see if I can get some light going here. Yep, there you go. And so it's got just like Chevy disc brakes on it, and then there was no steering and hydraulics on the brakes or anything, so I made the steering myself. This is part of like a later model steering setup, I think from the 80s Chevy as well, so that I can use like modern like tie rods and everything. So that goes over to the steering box. Steering box is like a 80s Saginaw steering box, power steering box right here. Don't mind the wiring mess, that's not part of it. I just hooked up a headlight, so it's already dark out here, so hooked up one headlight so I can at least be able to drive this thing without crashing it the first time I drive it. Yeah, I did the custom steering here. I got that from Borgeson. I just didn't feel safe welding stuff together from scrap metal stuff, so that's the one thing that I actually spent a fair bit of money on. I think it was like $500 to get a complete setup there, which is I paid like $3,000 for the car, and the engine and transmission, and the donor car was like $400. So it's a pretty low budget car. Otherwise, most of what you see here all came off the $400 car. And then I got a remote power steering set up here, and it's got the rear axle's a little bit too wide. I want to get some other rims, so the tires actually, these are pretty fat tires. I want to get some skinnier tires that fit inside the wheel wells. The interiors, somebody's actually redone this thing a number of years ago, and so you can see it's it's all there. It's a complete car, and very much in the style that it was originally. Somebody put some new gauges in it here. Pretty nice dashboard, and I went with the original steering column. That's not the original steering wheel, but this is what was in the car, so I just went ahead and stuck with that. And the cat wasn't part of the car either, but you have to live with what you have, huh? And yeah, out here, like you see, like the engine was already mounted. I think this is like from a early 80s Chevy Love. Used these Isuzu engines. It was Chevy frame and everything, so I just took the whole cross member and everything that the motor was mounted to and put it in here as is, and you know, that works out pretty well with you know, then you don't have to worry about the frame bending or anything. It's pretty much self-supporting and it just sits on the frame edge like that. Haven't done much with the interior yet. Get out of here, cat. Haven't done much with the interior yet. It's the transmission's a 5-speed stick shift. Pretty much cobbled together the interior. I gotta work on this a little bit more. You know, there's a clutch pedal and then the brake. The diesel doesn't have vacuum, and I didn't want to have a giant booster there anyway, so I just went with the manual brakes and made sure I had lots of leverage. And actually the brake cylinder I bought, I'm gonna have a hood on here, by the way, so you're not gonna see most of this anyway. But that's a master cylinder from like a 80s S10 with manual brakes, so it's actually intended to be manual, and stops the car actually with not a whole lot of effort. It just has more brake travel than what you're used to from power brakes. But it actually doesn't take a whole lot of effort to stop the car. Of course, the car is pretty light. I can just pretty much, you know, especially here in the garage, I can, you know, push it around by hand, no problem. I still gotta finish a lot of stuff up before I can actually drive it anywhere, but yeah, I just made an ignition key here. You can hear the pump going right now. I just got a 5-gallon can. The gas tank is out. It still needs to be sealed and cleaned up, so I just put a 5-gallon can in here for now, and I made a starter switch. I left something standing on there, so something fell on the ground. But anyway, it runs like a clock, so I'll probably still be working on it for the next 6 months to really make it usable. I want to make it air conditioned and get it, you know, really get it usable, get a good stereo in there so I can play my music and everything, and you know, just have a comfortable everyday car that you can really use and run and drive and so forth. And from what I hear, these engines do get like 30-40 miles to the gallon, at least in the cars that they're originally in. Of course, they didn't have vertical windshields, but then again, you know, this car is pretty light, and it's geared pretty tall. I mean, first gear seems like it take you up to about, you know, 20 miles an hour or something, whereas originally it probably only got you, you know, half that. It's about 2.5 to 1 gear ratio, so it should almost idle down the freeway. So anyway, that's it. I'll do more when I get around to doing more with the car.